What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host. And did you see it? Did you watch the Monday Night Football atrocity in Cincinnati? Everything I spent the last episode talking about was on display yet again in Cincinnati. And the Rams fall to 1-2. And it appears that opening day win in Seattle perhaps was mere mirage, dirt vapor. And so now here we are having to come face to face with some unavoidable conclusions. And so I'd like to begin this episode 80, by saying, in the way of a disclaimer, I like Sean McVay. I've said it for many years now. In McVay, I trust. I remember pre-McVay, before McVay. I remember the long litany of awful coaches that the Rams employed, from the departure of Mike the Maniac Martz up until the hiring of Sean the Boy Wonder McVay. I have been a long time Rams fan, you see. I remember when they were over at the Coliseum way back when. I remember I sat at the 50-yard line at the Ed Jones Dome in St. Louis when they beat them damn Niners. I was there back in the day. Okay? And so I remember names like Jim Haslett and Joe Vitt, and names like Steve Spagnuolo. Yep, that Steve Spagnuolo. I remember names like Scott Linehan. Okay? And maybe, most putrid of all, Jeff, where is the bar, Fisher? Something very wrong. Sticky. It was horrific. So, I don't say what I'm about to say lightly, because I remember before McVay. But Mr. McWonder, Coach McGenius, you are now costing your team an opportunity to win ball games. How, you may ask? Well, I hope you've been. I've been crying out in the wilderness to McGenius for some time now, and I've been trying to convey to him the value of balance. And for a good amount of time, he's won, you see, in spite of being out of balance. And so now, being such a young, successful coach here in LA, Mr. McWonder has created a goodwill with the local media he has a cachet, a carte blanche, if you will. And so the media coddles Mr. McWonder. They let him off the hook. They don't hold his little tootsies to the fire. Because as much of a benefit and value Mr. McGenius has brought to the organization, he's not perfect. No one is. And so when you start to, as they used to say back in the day, backslide, someone has to hold you accountable, hold your feet to the fire. Say, hey, what are you doing, Coach McGenius? And see, there's no one here to do that, it seems. And so I listen in the post-game press conferences after he's been wildly out of balance, abandoning the run game yet again. I watch the post-game pressers, and they don't challenge him. They ask generic questions. They let him, because he has a political way of answering and addressing certain questions. For example, and I notice finally, because I've been calling out for years for balance in the Rams play calling, but now finally, I think other people finally are starting to say, hey, why aren't you running the ball, sir? And so in the latest post-game press conference after that ugly loss, that was a revolting, repugnant, despicable loss to the Bengals. After that, in the post-game press conference, I heard one of the lady reporters say, "You're out of balance, Mr. McWonder," or something to that effect. And I give the coach credit. He sidestepped it, like one of the, Motown groups of the 60s doing a move. Slide to the left. He said something to the effect of I believe, let's see here. There are times when there are better, advantageous looks, the coach said, versus running. And he said, in that same presser, we just suffered from too many self-inflicted wounds. Yes, you did, Coach. Yes, you did. The thing is, though, the self who's inflicting the wounds are you. They ought to let me into the post-game press conference, because I would actually ask some pointed questions. Mr. McWonder. Scotty here. Scotty says, YouTube, question for you. Are you concerned, Mr. McWonder, that you are aging the football mortality of your quarterback by consistently throwing without any semblance of a run game? One more question, Mr. McWonder, if I might. Just one more follow-up question. Mr. McWonder, against them damn Niners, you had a total of 18 design runs and 55 design passes. Does that strike you as troubling in any way? And just as a follow-up, have you heard of the 25-20 rule? Because Father Shanahan was in perfect balance with 25 passes and 25 runs, and you've lost 9 in a row consecutive to him, and by then they're pulling me out of there. Okay, get him out of here. He's got to go. Someone needs to hold McWonder accountable. We've given him the praise and the glory for the turnaround of the Rams when he took over that very first year in 2017, I believe it was. But see, Mr. McWonder, he may be victim to some of his own successes. Why Mr. McWonder, are you having so much trouble maintaining a run game? You had trouble with Todd Gurley. You had trouble with, you just got rid of the grill. You've had trouble. Sony Michel won games for you, and you let him go when you didn't have an option, a viable option as a backup running back, Mr. McWonder. When Sony Michel came back this preseason, he retired rather than go another year. Now, I'm not saying you have anything to do with that, but I'm just asking the question, what is up with you in the run game? It seems like, it feels to me like you would prefer to throw passes to your running back in lieu of handing the ball off and giving the running back carries. We're going to get into the numbers in just a bit. But you had a total. After I spent episode 79, 40 plus minutes, I spent crying out for balance, for the 25-20 principle. You, Mr. McWonder, had 12 designed runs. 12 against Cincinnati. You refused to run in the red zone. First and goal from the 3. First and goal from the 4. You won't run the ball. And so eventually, the defense gets it. Hey, this guy's throwing every down. Let's pin back our ears and get him. And so Matty from the D took some punishment against Cincinnati. He got pummeled. He took some shots. If he ended up in concussion protocol this week, I wouldn't be shocked by that. You saw what happened with Jimmy G. Jimmy G finished the game, and then a day later, concussion protocol. If it happened to Matty from the D, I wouldn't be shocked. We already know he's had concussion issues. We saw that last season. We saw what happened to him in New Orleans. And so, with a makeshift offensive line, because you know, no go boom will go down, which he did once again, out of game 2. Out then of game 3. Back in and then out, and then out. And so, there you go, see. And Alaric, I believe, also went out, so that now here it is, the beginning of the O-line shuffle. And against that backdrop, with a haunted quarterback, a quarterback with a history of possession, a 35, 36-year-old quarterback who's been beat up over the years, you subject him to that kind of a beating, a beat down. Judgment, Mr. McWonder, judgment. I question. What are you thinking? When it would be so easy to just apply the 25-20 rule, the 25-20 principle, just apply it and win. Win, sir. Don't you want to win? More than chuck it around the yard, wouldn't you rather win? There was an opportunity for you to steal that San Francisco game, and you threw it away, literally. The Cincinnati game, and it was ugly. It was a punt fest, to be sure. But there was opportunity there for you to win that game, and you threw it away, literally, again. Now you're 1-2. And now, in the immortal words of Denny Green, you may be who we thought you were. You know, because I had gotten excited with the effort I saw in Seattle, with the effort I saw against them damn Niners. But this monstrosity on Monday night in Cincinnati, disgusting. And so perhaps it was just a mirage, just dirt vapor, that opening week win. And that happens a lot. Teams will fool you in week 1, and then it's reverting to the mean. And it looks like that is apparently what's happening with the Rams. But the thing is, Mr. McGenius, the thing is, you've got a spirited bunch, youngsters. If you just help them a little bit, just help them. Call a balanced game, sir. I think I've seen some stinkers by McWonder. I think that may have been the worst play calling game I've seen from McGenius in his time in LA. And that's after all that unsolicited, unheeded advice I tried to give him in episode 79. For naught. For nothing. And so maybe the season is going to end up being longer and not as enjoyable as I had at one time thought. But I think there's a chance, because it's still early, to turn this around. You go on the road, you employ balance, you get to 2-2, you kind of get your reset, you start getting a few home games. You've got people there, but you've got to help them with the play calling. These kids, you're going to break Puka down. You know, throwing him 20 passes a game, you're going to break him down. You're going to break Matty from the D down. Doctor Who going to be Doctor Out. If you don't change your ways now, I'm warning you from the outskirts of the city. I'm crying out to you, Mr. McWonder. Change your past happy ways before it's too late. Before it's too late. And normally I would give you a game analysis. I'm not going to go too deep into the game analysis because it's the same old story. Mr. McGenius starts maybe that first drive with a decent blend of pass and run, maybe 60-40 pass to run, maybe 70-30, but at least there's a semblance of it. And they get a score. Normally it has been a touchdown. Now maybe in this case there were field goals. And let me say right here, that Superman move, 2-2, diving for the pylon. How they overturned that, and with that video evidence I saw, it just wasn't enough to overturn that touchdown. They took those 4 points off the board. The Rams end up losing by 3. So I mean, you see, those points are important. But there were plenty of other opportunities, and those were squandered. So now, without further ado, let's get to the game analysis. Now, first off, on the inactive list, the Rams look clean. Other than, obviously Soup's still not back. They go into the game with their starting contingent. Joe No-Go Boom is back into the line. So, on the fourth play of the Rams' opening drive of the game, 2 run, 2 pass, balance on that fourth play and end around to 2-2 Atwell. Breaks to the sideline, dives, goes Superman, taps the pylon, touchdown. Right away, touchdown Rams, but wait, there's a review. Did his heel tap the out of bounds line? I saw a few replays. It looked good to me, but maybe I'm looking through Rams' eyes. And so, in fact, the refs call it back. Put the ball first and goal on the Rams 3. And you know what happens next. McGenius eschews the run, refuses to turn around and hand the ball to his tailback. Instead, Matty goes 0 for 3. The Rams settle for 3. And right away, I'm like, It's a bad sign. It's a harbinger of ominous things to come. The fact that the touchdown is called back and then McGenius won't run the ball and then they have to settle for the field goal. And in fact, the Rams would only get field goals all game long until the very end of the game. And it was a punt fest. I believe 6 punts for the Rams, 5 for the Bengals. It was an ugly game, a stinker to watch, a clunker. And these are the kind of games where you employ your power run. Eat up clock. You shorten the game by running the ball, Mr. McWonder. Not by throwing all those damn incompletions and leaving your quarterback open to pummeling sacks. You know, already I'm thinking, run the ball, McWonder, run the damn ball. And so the Rams defense has been playing resolute again. Big up, game ball to Raheem Morris and the LA Rams defense, because you can only trot back out there so many times against a quality team before the defense isn't going to be able to hold up. This is another liability of no ground game. You're not controlling the ball. You're not controlling time of possession. You running your defensive unit back out on the field time and time again after all these punts, all these incomplete passes. No time is ticking off the clock. It's a losing strategy. So, second possession, the Rams take over after the Cincinnati punt. And, of course, McGenius is throwing. And at one point, Puka reaches back with an amazing circus one-hand stab, which otherwise that would have been a poltergeist strike right there. But the Rams go nowhere. Incomplete passes, pressure, punt the ball, and so it begins. The punt fest, back and forth and back and forth. Next Rams possession, their third possession of the game. It's a microcosm, really, of McGenius play calling on the season. All right, Cincinnati has tied the game up 3-3. The Rams get the ball back. It's their third possession of the game. McWonder, again, comes out throwing. 3 straight passes. He hits Puka. He hits Higbee. And there's this big gainer to and McGenius throws. Matty from the D misses Kyron Williams out of the backfield. And I'm thinking, just hand him the ball. Hand him the ball. But no, they want to throw him passes in the flat, you see. Like he's Marshall Faulk, a first-year starter, second-year back. So Matty off, misses him. Second down. They do hand him the ball, like finally. And he breaks off 7. So now it's 3rd and 3 from around the 5-yard line, the 4-yard line. After that 7-yard gain by Kyron Williams, McGenius goes right back to the air. Matty for 2-2, incomplete. The Rams have to settle for the field goal. But you, insistent, determined, intent on chucking it. And you know what happens when you chuck the ball willy-nilly all over the yard, don't you? Don't you? You invite the unspeakable one in. 6-3 Rams. But I'm thinking 2 first and goal trips and 2 field goals. This is a bad sign. You need touchdowns in the red zone, not field goals, McWonder. And I'm thinking, this is why Father Shanahan always whoops your ass, see? Because you refuse to employ a power running game. I think it has something to do with why your O-line gets nicked up so much. They're always dropping back in pass protection. I think it has something to do why you can't keep Matty from the D healthy, because he's always getting pummeled and pounded. And so all of this is a cumulative effect that's causing you to carry that big ass L on your head, McWonder. LA begins its fourth offensive possession, which, as it would, of course, on this night, ended in another punt. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This is a punt fest stanker, my folks. And so Cincinnati is unable to do anything with the ball in the Rams D. And so they punt the ball back to the Rams yet again. And the crowd is booing, and the natives are getting restless. And McGenius and the Rams and Matty from the D take over on offense for their fifth possession of the game. So now the Rams offense with the ball yet again. 3 minutes, 43 seconds left in the second quarter. And you know what McGenius is thinking, because he's got pass happyitis. McGenius is throwing. So Matty from the D is in the gun. So from their own 30-yard line, Matty in the gun is throwing, and poltergeist strike. Poltergeist strike. Poltergeist strike. And you knew it was coming, my folks, because why? McGenius invited him in. You invited in the malevolent spirit of the poltergeist by abandoning the run, McWonder. And if you invite him in, he will come. And he did. And bit them in the ass yet again. Poltergeist strike. Turnover. Cincinnati takes over on offense. But that Rams defense holds yet again. See, that defense is playing heroic ball. Holding. And Rams go back on offense again. Just about 2 minutes or so left before halftime. And you know McWonder wants some points, and you know he wants to throw the ball. So after 3 consecutive pass plays, pow! Matty from the D gets pummeled, gets the devil knocked out of him. He's hit so hard, snot flying every which way. And I'm like, McGenius, you're gonna get the fella killed there if you don't change your ways. So for the third time this game, this half, the Rams have to settle for 3. 9-6 LA. But Cincinnati gets the ball back with a little time left before halftime, and they drive. And that defense probably now is starting to feel the pain. Cincinnati ends up putting together a 10-play, 75-yard drive, which culminates with Joe Mixon taking it in, a handoff on the ground, 14 yards for the touchdown. Cincinnati leads at the halftime. 13-9 Bengals. Folks, I have to be honest with you. I fear the worst for the second half because, McGenius is undisciplined when he's leading or when he's tied. He goes wildly out of balance and gets past happyitis. So when he's trailing, forget about it. And right on cue to start the third quarter, the Rams on offense. Matty from the D comes out chucking the ball. And he does. He hits a big gainer. He hits a big gainer to the imaginary Van Jefferson. First down on a big chunk play from the Cincinnati 30-yard line. Matty from the D, Doctor Who, throwing yet again. McWonder doesn't seem to ever learn. And what do you know? Tip drill, ball is up, picked off, poltergeist strike, another one, the second pick of the game. And I'm like, see, come on, man. You, Mr. McWonder, not Matty from the D, not Kyron Williams. You have invited in the malevolent spirit. And he has answered your call. And he has bit you in your ass yet again. And so Cincinnati now takes this haunted gift and they put 3 points up on the board, 3 points off turnovers. And so now Cincinnati leads 16-9. And so, of course, now McGenius is going to feel completely at liberty to throw every down. The defense knows there's no semblance left of a run game. Just attack. Just attack. And down goes no go boom. No go boom goes go down. And out. You've already lost Alaric Jackson earlier in the game, and so that O-line shuffle now is in full effect. The crowd now is back into the game, and momentum is firmly with the Bengals. But even now, after all this, it's still, to start the fourth quarter, a one-score game. Just a one-score game. 16-9, Cincy. And so there's no real reason to panic. There's a whole quarter left to play. But we've already read the signs, the tea leaves. The markers have all been laid down, and it was clear what the outcome was going to be. So Maddie takes a terrible beating now. And the Rams do manage to put up a touchdown at the end of the game to 2-2 with about 1 minute left. But there was no escape, and that L was sitting high on top of McWonder's head yet again. The Rams end up going down to defeat 19-16, but it really wasn't that close. And that onside kick attempt, oh, just pathetic. It encapsulated the Rams' effort on the evening. Just very poor. Very poor. So now, that is the game analysis. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look at the numbers and break it down, shall we? First, well, obviously, we know that McGenius did not employ the 25-20 principle. We know that. Obviously going in. But let's take a look and see just how far off he actually was. Well, let's start with Matty from the D. Matty from the D, he was 18 of 33 for 269 yards. He had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. He was also sacked six times. So there's a grand total of 40 dropbacks for Doctor Who. And what about carries? So we see 40 dropbacks for Matty. What about the run game? Well, Kyron Williams, 10 carries. 10 carries. This is your primary back now. Remember, this is a one-score game pretty much the whole duration. 10 carries, 38 yards. It's a 3.8 average. I mean, he's averaging about 4 yards a carry. Now, this is an interesting note. Rams actually outrushed Cincinnati 71-67. And so what that tells me is you have a higher yards per carry average than Cincinnati does. You outrush them, but you carry the ball half as many times. So if you had simply gotten to 20 carries, you probably win that game. It was pretty close. Total yards, 292 Rams, 309 Cincinnati. Passing yards, 221 Rams, 242 Cincinnati. 71 rushing yards for the Rams, 67 Cincinnati. Yards per play, the Rams 5.6 yards per play. Cincinnati only 4.2 yards. But see, the thing is, the Rams only had 52 total plays, whereas Cincinnati 74. Moving the chains, keep the clock running, grind out that victory. The Rams had 15 first downs, Cincinnati 19. All pretty close, but on third down, glaring. Cincinnati was 5 of 17 on third down. That's not fantastic by any stretch, but the Rams 1 of 11. Ouchie. Ouchie. The Rams also allowed 6 sacks. Ouchie, ouchie for Doctor Who. Only 2 sacks allowed for Cincinnati. And so time of possession, 36 minutes to 24. Cincinnati wins. And of course, the turnover battle. 2 poltergeist strikes for Matty from the D. 1 for Joe Burrow. So 40 dropbacks for Doctor Who. Only 10 carries for your primary back, Kyron Williams. Tutu Atwell, 1 carry on that end around. It should have been a touchdown. And 1 carry on another sweep end around to the imaginary. A total of 12 carries, 12 design runs on the game. On the game. For the boy wonder, Mr. Sean McGenius. 12 carries after that abysmal loss to them damn Niners the week before. 12 carries for 64 yards. Puka had 5 catches for 72. Higbee 5 for 71. Tutu had 4 for 50. The imaginary had a catch. A couple to Kyron Williams out of the backfield. More misses from Matty than connections there. And Stoney got 1 catch for 3 yards. And so really, again, it all is in the numbers. Now, Cincinnati didn't have great balance, and it was an ugly game, so they really, it wouldn't have been unreasonable for a team with those numbers playing that way to lose that game, but the Rams were worse. So Cincinnati did get to 20 carries, part of the formula, but they had Burrow throwing. He dropped back more than 50 times. So that's a lot. That's a lot. But then, this is the Cincinnati coach is off Mr. McWonder's tree, right? So, I guess they're birds of a feather to that extent. And so that's where we are, my folks. I'm afraid the optimism that I felt may be misplaced. Because if Mr. McWonder will not change his ways, his past happy tendencies, this team's not going anywhere. They don't have enough talent to live like that. They got to play a smart game, a ground game. They got to employ balance. They have to run the ball. They have to drop Matty back far less and let that defense do its work, but don't overexpose them. That's the key for this team to win. If you're not going to follow that recipe, that formula, Mr. McWonder, you're going to continue toting L's on your head. So next up, it is the Indianapolis Colts. The Rams go on the road. They are road dogs by, I think, 2 points, 2.5, something like that. The O-line shuffle now, it's underway. Will it continue? Or will there be some sort of stabilization? Can the D hold up? It's being asked to perform superhuman tasks. But the biggest question of all is, will McGenius wake up? Will he repent, change course, and change his past happy, out of balance, losing ways before it's too late? And so until the next time, my friends, what I need you to do, what I'm asking from you, is to throw me one of these. Throw it to me now. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And until then, my friends, one love.